Welcome to Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, the meme review, software releases, hardware releases, websites by plebes or plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. We're going to the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 693,916. The Bitcoin price, 39,425. Chain rewrite days, 1,090. Total public Lightning capacity, 2,131.47. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.26. And sats per dollar, 2,536. You're getting a little bit more, like 100 more than yesterday's episode, maybe.
But overall, good number, man. That Lightning, dude. It's just Lightning's on a run.
Going like crazy. It's totally insane. And you know what? It really, you're talking about that, the stuff that's going on with that bill, right? With the ambiguous language. So it's really interesting because that bill indirectly with that language could affect, technically, right, it could affect Lightning, not really in practicality, but in terms of FUD and all that stuff. So it's one of those things where Lightning is implied because you're money transmitting,
It's impossible to...
It's really just peer-to-peer.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly right.
It's okay, we're not even going to get it. It's like a handshake. It's like I hand you $2 and all of a sudden I got to go tell the government I just did that.
It's unenforceable, but they want to just do that so the government could have a big stick.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And go after whoever they want, whenever they want, right? That's the way that I see that bill. But we're going to talk about it in the news, by the way.
Exactly. That's why I didn't want to go off it too much, but I just, it just got me thinking. Every time I see that number go up, I'm like, wow, nobody really cares about that.
Nope.
About that bill.
The honey badger doesn't care.
Nope. It's building. It's growing. All right.
It's growing. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right. So this actually came in last week, towards the end of last week. Well, here, let's go take a look at when there you go. July 29th, right? So yeah, it was like mid to the end of last week. Frank Chaparro, I hope I pronounced that right. Anyways, he's got the blue check mark. What is he? Director of News at The Block, previously reporting at Business Insider and comms at NASDAQ. All right, so there you go. He covers Bitcoin, DeFi, and market structure. All right, good stuff. So a lot of us know who he is, okay? Here's the tweet. Big scoop from Eric Newcomer. Dan Loeb's third point is not longer... Pretty sure they mean no longer going to co-lead BlockFi's upcoming funding round amid its regulatory dramas. Brutal. Okay? So he added a little bit to that, and he goes, likely means BlockFi is going to have some trouble closing this round and is in deeper regulatory trouble than we might have thought. Not great. You might think, maybe it doesn't matter, one investor pulling out. Maybe. Well, Dan Loeb is, according to Forbes anyways, worth $3.5, billion. And, he runs Third Point. All right. And let's go take a look at that. Okay. So he's the CEO of Third Point, New York-based asset management firm founded in 1995. So does a lot of philanthropical work. Most of us do know who he is. Okay. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is bad, okay? This is not a good thing. If somebody like him is pulling out of a round of funding, okay, sure, it may be seen as FUD, but, if I had my money on that platform, I'd be pretty worried. That's something that would kind of bother me because why exactly is he pulling out? That's really not good. I mean, glad I'm not, making car payments with those BlockFi interest payments, though.
Man, that was gold.
Thought about that.
That was gold from Peter McCormack. He's like, I'm paying my new Austin Martin. Austin Martin made payments with my BlockFi. And then literally someone wrote that in a script literally the day after. BlockFi's like, we're putting our interest payments lower. Like, it's so funny, dude.
And now look, no, but that's it, right? This is a big red flag.
It is.
Right? Anyways, I think that there's going to be another shoe to drop. This is really interesting stuff, right? We've got BlockFi, there's Celsius, and there's like a couple of other of these platforms You know, I've been seeing some rumors, right? Like that one of these is going to go this run.
Dude, hodl, man. Sketchy.
Hodl. So look, you know, like we saw that video from Stefan.
Hi everyone, Stefan Livera here. Just a quick message. My Twitter account has not been compromised, and I'm just verifying for you, or I'm just confirming that I have spoken with Max, firstly on a voice call and also on a video call to confirm with him from Hodl's point of view, their Twitter account, their Telegram, their emails, and their website have not been compromised. Hodl communications are not compromised.
I mean, that's look, it was kind of Roger Ver-ish, but you know, and we all love Stefan, but like that's kind of bad, right? Like that's kind of bad that they did a poor job at communicating what exactly is going on. Now it's really strange that everybody had to go and, you know, cancel all their contracts. Like I think they were given like a 2-hour window or something like that, but that's just not good communication. I mean, even if it's not sketchy, the way that it was communicated was poorly done.
It was sketchy, dude.
So all of these things, right? All of this stuff. I mean, obviously, like we're not bagging on Hodl. Like that's a, you know, that's an exchange. They're not providing. I don't believe Hodl provides services like BlockFi does or Unchained. I don't think. But yeah. Anyways, you know, the fail is these platforms. Look, the amount of the percent of interest that they're giving you is really not worth the risk of not holding your Bitcoin in your own wallet with the private keys that you control, okay? And that's the moral of the story, because when something like this comes out, whether it's true or not, if you've got a bag on that platform, you're worried. So,
absolutely.
And like, I just don't want to deal with that. I want no part of that. Anyways.
No,
BlockFi for me.
You're absolutely right, dude. Like, look, Bitcoin has so many technologies where you could build things differently. We have Unchained as a great example, right? Mm-hmm. They leverage the power of multi-sig so that when you do take a loan with them, you know, at least your loan remains in the same address. They don't rehypothecate it the way these other platforms do, right? So again, it's like, why are you not even going to leverage the tools that Bitcoin provides you, right? You're just staying within the fiat system, the fiat mentality, you know, and we're kind of moving away from that, you know. So I see BlockFi like, you know, it's like they're bringing the rotten part of the financial system and they're trying to bring that over to Bitcoin, and it's just, man, it's stupid. But yeah. I agree, dude. Is it worth that 3%? That 3% interest or whatever it is for, you know, literally handing your Bitcoin, you know, like, is that worth it? I don't think so.
I don't think so, man. It really isn't, you know. And look, again, this story proves it. And then on top of that, they lowered their interest payment. So right there, like, how many months ago was that? So already you're getting less, and now somebody's pulling out. Something's coming.
Yeah. But we'll cover it here on Simply Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. So this meme, definitely by a fellow plebe, and it was a response to stacking or Tony.hodl, right? Fellow meme lord. He makes some awesome memes that we reviewed. And this person replied, and I thought it was super, super neat. Anyways, It's like Neo waking up from the Matrix, and he's looking and he's realizing, wow, it's just, you know, one big battery, all these human beings. But it's funny because they put no coiners, NPCs, sheep, and then I guess they're talking about people that decide to take a jab in their arm. So, like, you know, it's just really cool. It's not like your typical, like, laugh or whatever, but it's like kind of like an artwork. I thought it was neat. Anyways, for that meme, I'm going to give it an Xbox Series X controller. What about you, Phil? You
know what? Very well done. I love the Matrix memes, right? They're so well done because the Matrix is such a great story, you know, that obviously touches on so many points. Anyways, I am gonna give it this USB charging cable.
Okay.
USB-C or D or whatever letter it was.
Another cable/gadget from Phil and an Xbox controller. Awesome. Anyways, guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. And of course, join our Telegram group. Link us some memes so that we can review them, because it's a meme review, and that's what we do. Phil?
I was gonna say, does Spinte expect us to send him our old crap? You know,
I don't know.
You know, from the That was funny, that meme, that he's like, he's waiting on us to send him the prizes.
Oh yeah, from today. That's so funny.
Awesome.
We'll just mail him an FT. Oh my god, man, the meme boys, bro. They're speaking in memes.
I know. We can't speak in memes. Okay, here we go.
Anyways, It's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
Alrighty, buddy. The continuation of the fiat matrix. It's breaking down. It's just disintegrating. Check out this tweet by Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador. And he's essentially, this is a report by Bank of America, and essentially talking about all the positives, right, that are going to happen making Bitcoin legal tender. It's talking about the remittance flows, how that's going to help El Salvador. It's talking about greater consumer choice, financial digitalization. It talks about how 70% of the population in El Salvador does not have a bank account, right? It's literally perfect for Bitcoin. So anyways, he tweeted that out, and but our friend documenting BTC went through the documents, and this was the most bullish part, Phil. And then I want to get your thoughts. 2021 will likely feature the highest growth rate in El Salvador's history, at least compared to the available data 1980 and present, surpassing the 7% observed in 1992. It's going to grow 12% in the GDP of El Salvador. That's absolutely phenomenal. Why? Why is it going to grow that drastically? There's essentially, every time someone sends money to El Salvador, they're essentially paying a tax to Western Union, right? Mm-hmm. That's done with Strike. And you could see that they did a poll, or Forbes did a poll of, essentially it's asking how optimistic are the people for the economy of the future economies in those countries. And El Salvador ranks number 1 on that list. 73% of the people polled feel like they feel optimistic about the future. Wow. It's crazy how Bitcoin changes like that. Maybe, to be fair, it might not be Bitcoin, but that's a hell of a coincidence. And then I'll shut up after I read this tweet, Phil. A tweet by Alex Gladstein. Moody's downgrades El Salvador post-Bitcoin law, says outlook remains negative, and that the risks are skewed to the downside, raising tensions. But again, Bitcoin is the truth, right? And then the matter of fact is that the economy went up by 12%, and if you look at the people themselves, right, they're very optimistic. So Moody's is some fiat garbage. And I would also like to point out that when Joe Biden said that all that money printing isn't gonna cause inflation, he cited, who? Moody's.
I seem pretty confident that inflation is temporary, but if you're pumping all of this money into the economy, couldn't that add to...
No, look, here's the deal. Moody's today, when a Wall Street firm, not some liberal think tank, said if we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation.
Right? So this is, a fiat propaganda arm, I guess, they're all about that Keynesian economics and all that BS. But again, you have Bitcoin showing the truth, and the truth is that it's helping the Salvador economy, right? It's saving them a lot of money on remittance fees, and I'm sure that in 4 years from now, Nayib Bukele is going to look like a genius. Phil?
So Moody's can't be trusted. They've had issues in the past where they've been caught. They can't be trusted with their rating systems. There's no secret in that. Number one. Number two, clearly they're just a paid mouthpiece, for the powers that be. And you see what that, do you see what they tried to put in there about the rising tensions with the US and IMF? I don't understand. Why does everybody have to use your money? Why does it matter so much that everybody's using your money? Really? It's just this ridiculous, I don't know, I feel like it's the kids in a sandbox or something, the IMF's like this, the big kid, It's just ridiculous. They show up and they tell you have to build the castles the way that they want you to, and you got to play the game they want you to play. It's like, no, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing here. Okay?
Dude, the IMF, you're absolutely right, dude. The IMF is terrified. That's why they're bullying everybody, dude. Because
that's exactly what it is. All of a sudden they give a shit about El Salvador. right? No one's, I mean, don't get me wrong, but like in the Western world, you know, like at least in Canada and in the US, you know, I don't often hear speak of El Salvador. And ever since, you know, he decided to start talking about Bitcoin, that there's a whole lot more conversation going on about them at much higher levels, right? None of these people even knew it existed before. Okay? So you could just tell that they're all just a bunch of scammers.
Totally, man.
It's ridiculous.
I could not have said it better myself. But anyways, Phil, check this out. Some more bullish news, right? Not bullish. To be honest with you, to be fair, it's listen, they're going to print the dollar into oblivion. What do you expect other countries to do, right? Check out this headline from Bloomberg or CNBC, I apologize. Russia says it will remove the dollar asset from its wealth fund, but it's not also Russia. Here is Japan as well. World's biggest pension fund cuts U.S. bond weighing by record, right? Bonds are essentially the way that, you know, the Fed justifies the money printing. They sell these bonds, and in return, you know, they get a loan and they have to pay that off by, you know, a specific time. But it looks like countries are dropping bonds and they're dropping dollar reserves. Why is that? Because the U.S. government is just outsourcing all its debt. By printing all this money, essentially, it is essentially making the U.S. citizens poorer, but more importantly, it's essentially making the world poorer, anybody who's holding dollars, right? So it's just, you know, it's a very obvious reaction. Why would other countries hold the dollar? They're essentially maintaining the U.S.'s failed policies by holding the dollar, right? So it's like, it's obvious that other countries. Now, the moment that I'm really curious to see, and Ray Dalio brought this up, why hold bonds, right? You know, their rates are so low. I think I saw on Germany's hit 0.6% for its 30-year bond or whatever. Mm-hmm. So think about that, Phil. You're actually losing money if you buy that stuff, right? You're losing money. Why do those things exist? Why not just put your value into fiat? In my opinion, into Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time, the way that I see it. Just like we saw the oil companies get into Bitcoin mining using flared gas because of the incentives, I think it's just a matter of time before countries do as well. Anyways, Phil?
Yeah, man. They really don't have a choice, right? I mean, you just said it yourself. You know, if you go and decide to hold on to the 30-year bond, you're just simply losing money. I mean, if you decide to hold cash, you're simply losing money. And then, okay, fine. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw your money into equities, right? You're just losing. I mean, I shouldn't say you're just losing money in equities, but equities is like, if you're lucky, you keep up. I mean, you keep up with inflation, unless you're a really good stock picker. Some people are good stock pickers, right? Some people can get away with it. Others can't, you know? So I mean, look, you know, this is just, it's all unraveling, and it's what we keep saying. And all this is like, it's another thread, right? It's like another thread that you pull and boom, look at that. That falls apart. They've got nowhere to go. I mean, look at that. So what country next, right? Like which country next is going to say that, hey, you know what? We're not holding the US dollar anymore. You know?
Man, and it's beautiful. It's some cosmic justice too, because it's the smaller countries that are going to get rid of it the fastest, because they are the countries that least benefit from the fiat system.
Yep.
Right. So we saw El Salvador, one of the first countries. So they're like, why are we doing this? Just there's a better system, right? But anyways, Phil, awesome news, dude. This was kind of a big deal. I want you to read it because it did come from a senator. This was from Senator Toomey. Could you read this, Phil?
Absolutely. All right. So Congress should not rush forward with this hastily designed tax reporting regime for cryptocurrency, especially without a full understanding of the consequences. By including an overly broad definition of broker, the current provision sweeps in non-financial intermediaries like miners, network validators, and other service providers. Moreover, these individuals never take control of the consumer's assets and don't even have the personal identifying information needed to file a 1099 with the IRS. Simply put, the text is unworkable. I plan to offer an amendment to fix it.
That's awesome, right?
That was awesome and very well said. And yeah.
So guys, this was all because of your effort of literally making a ruckus on Twitter and calling those senators from the numbers we provided you. It was Catelyn Long got involved. The whole Bitcoin and shitcoin industry really went hard. And shout out to Coin Center, of course, because Jerry Brito put in tremendous amount of work to essentially tell these politicians exactly what the truth is, right? And but the tweet continues. It wasn't only the Republicans, I might add. This was a tweet by Jimmy Song. There's a bipartisan support to change the Bitcoin and shitcoin language in the infrastructure bill. Pat Toomey and Ron Wyden both think the bill's Bitcoin and shitcoin tax language doesn't make sense at all, right? And of course, this was because of the combined effort of the whole industry. And I just might add, I saw this, Phil, and it confirmed exactly what we said initially, right? Check out this article. GOP lawmaker Janet Yellen's treasury likely behind surprise Bitcoin and shitcoin bill. We said this on Sunday. We told you guys that it was most likely the Treasury trying to benefit the big banks that essentially pushed some senator to add this Bitcoin and shitcoin tax at last minute into the infrastructure bill to try to see if they could sneak it in, right? The last administration under Trump, Steve Mnuchin, tried to do the same thing. We won that time because we made such a ruckus, and they tried to do the same thing again. And I agree with what you said, Phil, when we were talking about this. Just because we might win this time does not mean it's over, and they're definitely going to try it again. The more and more the fiat system becomes distressed because they cannot have an escape valve, and that's exactly what Bitcoin provides. Phil?
Did you see what Jimmy Song finished with? Maybe this pleb thing works outside of Bitcoin as well.
Let me
see what's happening. People are tired of like feeling stupid and being taken advantage of. It's like it's so funny, right? Like that's what this is. Like Bitcoin is the monetary expression of I'm tired of your crap.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is.
It's great, and you know what? Good for us. Right? Because every single thing that they throw at us, all it does is make everybody stronger. It forces people to educate themselves more. It forces us. I could tell you that because of Bitcoin, I've had to learn so many. Already I'm curious, but Bitcoin just, being in the space, you end up getting thrown so many curveballs. And hey, you're not going to know everything, but at least you're going to go and do some research on many different things and maybe get more, more well-rounded information than you started with. So, you know what? Bitcoin doesn't die, it just gets stronger, and we just learn more.
And now senators are educated on the matter as well.
Yep,
right?
That's right.
So it's crazy. But Phil, how sneaky was that? The Treasury tried to do it last second. They're like, and it's exactly what I said earlier. The reason that they want to do it, it's not because it's unforceable, but it's because it's going to give those bureaucrats tremendous amount of power to go after whichever Bitcoiner they just deemed cheated on their taxes, right? That could be a miner, right? Because miners technically, you could say transact every time a miner finds a block, they're adding those transactions through. But how do you know which transactions belong to who? It's literally unenforceable, but the language is so vague that they could still go after you for that anyways, right? It's so sneaky, dude. It's some sneaky stuff.
Regulation is a weapon, and it's used against us all the time. Right? That's all it is. If you have the money and the connections, then boom, regulation can work in your favor. Otherwise, you're simply against it.
Yep.
And you're going to feel the brunt of it. And then that's exactly what that's exactly what we get. And
let's see, man.
Certain things, right? Like Bitcoin, where the regulation, try as they might.
Yeah, but
they're not going to get away with it. They're going to keep trying. You'll see.
They're going to keep trying. Absolutely. This is the then they fight you stage. But
this was a better attempt than the previous attempt. Don't get me wrong. Than Mnuchin's attempt. This was this was a better attempt, and they will try again, and it will be tougher.
Absolutely, it will be tougher, and they're going to be more desperate. And again, we just have to stay on top of it. This time, it looks like we're going to get our way. But we're going to report it when the final bill, when it goes up to vote. We're going to report on it all week. But anyways, Phil, there was a software release. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, everyone. We've got fully noted version 0.2. that was released, and that is a Bitcoin node. The details to that are down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic, there's so many fiat and shitcoin fails and the Bitcoin news from the Plebe Pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.